Morning, Bitcoiners. Hope you're loving life. I hope you're loving life. Daniel, good morning, Breakup Gang. Oh, you're not the first. Quentin, up first again. Sorry, I had the thing misplaced. Good morning from El Salvador. We did the conference. Now it's time for the beach. We love the beach. We love the conference. It's a great show. Good morning, Breakup Bunch. Good morning, Daniel. Hope you're doing great, my man. Thomas. I'm moving there in January. Can't wait. Daniel, big move, Thomas. Congrats. We love it. We love it. El Salvador. Promised land. This place is amazing. I hope I'm not far behind you in moving, or at least a winter home. Amazing, Lightning Vent. We love winter homes. We love them. Good morning from East Texas. The BTC miners are still humming along just fine. Great news. Great news. We need them. Good morning, friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning from Chicago, where the crime ain't stopping. No, it isn't. Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. Oh, I got that one already. Good morning, team. AI pin is a sign of our techno golden age. Yeah, that AI pin looks pretty cool. I'm not going to be getting anytime soon, but we'll see. Great photo of Yellen. I know. It no longer... No, you try and get it to do this. I have no problem getting the Bitcoin logo in almost any AI rendering. It will not give it with Janet Yellen anymore. I think Bitcoin sign guy has been put into the AI as a verboten. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to talk about Yellen today, so we'll see how it goes. Joseph, good morning. Good morning. Sun is up in Florida. Thanks, Greg. King Mensa Musa will be glad to know. Bitcoin and Morning Brew. Enjoy the Friday. Indeed. Good morning. Wake up to the breakup. We love it. We love it. So let me just acknowledge we got a total sunrise tech A-OK, right? Bitcoin running just fine, everyone. Let's have a coffee, talk about what's new. P-Man, good morning. Great to be here with you. Great that you're here, P-Man. Let me just give you a little warning. Today might be shorter than normal simply because my wife has gone to like a girls' weekend. It's a birthday thing. Her birthday was a while ago, but blah, blah, blah. Weekends, friends, girlfriends, da-da-da. So it's the first time she's left me alone with the kids since they were born, really. She had to go pack up our apartment a couple years ago in New York for a couple of days, but I had my family around and the kids were a lot smaller. So, good for my wife. She's never had any time apart from the kids. So we're looking forward to it. Anyway, all that said, I'll have to bring my kids to their homeschool pod today. But that's not why we would be interrupted. I'm not going to take them to the afternoon. But you never know, they might need something. So my wife isn't here to help. So that's why things might get cut. But anyway, let's jump into Moscow time. You don't need to hear the logistics of my family, especially if you're worried about getting a raise. Okay. So here's our first headline. You're probably not getting a big raise this year, but don't worry. It's good for the economy. Here's another one from NBC. All right. This is actually what they're saying. All right. Trump's revenge-driven campaign has far too many fans. Trump is ready to use the Justice Department as a weapon against former allies. What? Why would he ever do that? His supporters are uncomfortably okay with this. So they're okay with a guy who actually has capital punishment charges against him in one state. They're okay with him fighting and to defend himself. Okay. Now we have a new Twitter files, which we're going to start with today. But in honor of Mike Benz and the Twitter files and our ability to understand just how little freedom of speech there is and just what these disinformation experts get up to, we're going to have a stroll down memory lane for Moscow time for this end. These are headlines about the poor disinformation researchers who didn't get what they wanted. Okay, so this is from the New York Times. Disinformation researchers fret about fallout from judge's order. This was the Missouri versus Biden case. They're fretting. They said a restriction on government interaction with social media companies could impede efforts to curb false claims about vaccines and voter fraud. Here's another good one. They got this. So if you see the picture, they have an academic. You know how the academics always have that really serious face, right? They're always like wistful, thinking their deep thoughts out into the horizon of how they're going to write their next term paper, right? So this is, and just guessing, right? I'm not sure I could guess this academic's pronouns just by looking at them. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I couldn't guess them which way they're going, right? So here's the headline. The University of Washington misinformation researchers will not buckle under political attacks. They won't have it. And this one's the best one. This is from the New Yorker. Jim Jordan's conspiratorial quest for power. How the Ohio Republican built an insurgent bid for speaker on the lies of Donald Trump. So that's what we got today. Now, in real news, Matt Taibbi has come out with a Twitter Files Extra. Big Brother is flagging you. So this is what he says. New House report on previously unpublished Twitter Files show Stanford's election integrity partnership was a front for government censorship. So this is new according to Taibbi, but how long have we known this now for? After following Mike Benz daily for, what are we at? What's our Mike Benz count now? Since August, we've been paying attention to what he says. He did a video on the Twitter Files yesterday, breaking it all down with nuance and detail, right? Nice long 15-minute video explaining every one of the tweets. But I'll continue reading. On Monday, Jim Jordan's Weaponization of Government Subcommittee released a damning report on the weaponization of disinformation. Packed with subpoenaed documents, it focused on Stanford's election integrity partnership. The report showed that the election integrity partnership, when it flagged 2020 content, was a stand-in for the Department of Homeland Security. So this is the same Missouri versus Biden case again. Now remember, in administrative constitutional law or anything like that, you cannot delegate things you can't do yourself to other people, right? So if you don't have the ability to censor people, you can't tell someone else to censor. That's like by nature unconstitutional, right? If you don't have a power, you can't delegate it. So that's what they're saying. We just set up an election integrity partnership at the request of DHS and CISA, wrote Graham Brookie of the Atlantic Council. So remember what we've been talking about with the Atlantic Council. Remember the coincidence that we noticed 2 weeks ago when Nick Carter broke the fake news information laundering story, which is you get the fake experts to create fake data. Then the government comes in and says, oh my God, fake data. We got to react. We got to save you, right? We got to save you from the fake data. So they do that, and then they have something to cite. So in this case, it was Elizabeth Warren writing in the Wall Street Journal, citing fake elliptic or Chainalysis or one of these other infected bodies. So reporting on their numbers. But Nick Carter comes in, who can actually read a block explorer, comes in and gets his weaponized autists by putting up Bitcoin bounties. And they go and read the block explorers, prove that there isn't even nearly that much money laundering going on for Hamas and all these other people. It smokes out Cynthia Lummis and some other people, right? Oh, they all of a sudden now they were all into using the government and now they can't do it, right? So Nick Carter blunts it. But remember, simultaneous to all of this fake news going on, what happened on the Atlantic Council's agenda that week, right? No one's really put that piece together because Nick was so focused on destroying the news article. Remember, Bitcoin and mixers came onto the Atlantic Council agenda the same week. Coincidence? Of course not. Of course not, right? These things are always simultaneous. That's how this type of persuasion works. So I'm saying all of this because it's clear that the Atlantic Council was involved, which is why Mike Benz will be a speaker at Bitcoin 2024. Once I confirm, we're not quite confirmed, but imagine we're getting sued by the Illuminati along these same lines, right? The thing that we're doing with the Fed right now looks a little bit like what we see with these folks. So that's why we're going to have Mike Benz at our event talking about how the information laundering system works, because it's identical to the money laundering system. So that's why Bitcoiners understand it, right? Isn't it amazing how Bitcoiners understand all of the broken systems better than the people who work in them themselves? Like, we understand elections better, right? We're very well armed for the world we're headed into. So that's the good news. So let's keep going here. He says, Matt Taibbi goes on, early diagrams of the election integrity program workflow show a central role for the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, which is exactly what we've been learning from Mike Benz, right? Which would provide a warm introduction to election and special interest committees. The intelligence community is also depicted as a participant. The EIP was a fig leaf for DHS. Means cutout, right? We've heard Mike Benz describe these cutouts, right? The EIP was a fig leaf for DHS. CISA was never a mystery. Stanford's Alex Stamos said it was formed because CISA lacked both kind of the funding and the legal authorizations necessary for its work. When Schelleberger and I testified about the EIP before the Weaponization of Government Committee in March, outraged members denied the operation was secret or engaged in censorship, wrote one. CISA did not found, fund, or otherwise control the EIP. The denials triggered a long, self-pitying media campaign depicting congressional subpoenas and freedom of information requests as tools of harassment. These were the ones that I was reading earlier. The poor, sad disinformation researchers. They didn't get an A. They didn't get an A. I didn't get an A. That's what they're basically saying, right? I'm sorry your America is a scam and we're destroying the world, but I didn't get my A. I want an A, right? The denials triggered a long, self-pitying media campaign depicting congressional subpoenas as freedom of information requests as tools of harassment and describing reports of a government-private censorship consortium as false statements and a conspiracy theory. Isn't it great that they have trampled on the word conspiracy theory to the extent that they have in the past few years? Remember what I said about calling RFK Jr. a conspiracy theory, how that might actually poison the word altogether. Imagine, they're saying a guy like RFK Jr., whose dad and uncle were murdered, and he's not allowed to ask questions. He's not allowed, right? He's the last person in the world you should call a conspiracy theorist, yet they do nonstop. So it's pretty hilarious, right? Stanford's Rene DeResta to the New Yorker. Matt Taibbi says something on a Twitter thread, and members of Congress get to read my emails. And she puts an exclamation point. Hi. Everyone gets to read my emails. Hi, I'm a censor. Hi, everyone. In fact, Congress read her emails because voters chose to give members who wanted them subpoena power, that and a Freedom of Information Act. New Twitter files confirm the Weaponization Committee's assertions that the EIP was a DHS operation from the start. DHS want to establish a centralized portal for reporting disinformation. In May 2020, Twitter's Lisa Roman wrote, CISA received a grant to build a web portal for state and local elections officials. So they go on and on here. He goes on and describes just how bad this stuff is. Now, we've described it all, so we don't need to go through the details. What we understand, I think, clearly is that the government has created not just tools to get the elected government has created tools not just to get the bureaucracy to do what they want, to get almost anyone, right? Because they get the brainwashing, which works off of academia. They use all of these corrupted third-party institutions in order to launder their information, in order to hypnotize people and gaslight them and whatever else, right? Whatever else you want to call it. So they get into the names of the people that they targeted and all of these things. Now, think of all of this happening at once, right? And then at the same time, you get Tucker Carlson, who did a new episode last night, saying the following, that the First Amendment is done. Now, I made this argument the other day on Spaces with Bitcoin Magazine's lawyer, and I don't know why, but he was like, we still have the First Amendment, right? No, we don't. No, there's no more freedom of speech. Get with the program, guys. It's been a long time, all right? You can pretend you have it. Who has freedom of speech are boring people. If you say boring shit that no one hears and no one pays attention, yeah, you can say whatever you want, right? Remember, I've talked a lot about meeting that Chinese spy in when I was in China in 2016, talking about self-censorship and censorship in America and Bitcoin and Trump and Hillary and all this stuff. Obama was still the president. And he was saying exactly that, right? We don't really have censorship at the individual level in China. He said, we can say whatever we want. The government doesn't care. It's if we organize and do stuff, right? So already then I clued in to say, okay, I get it. So you can be boring in China and no one gives a shit, right? They're not going to suppress you. I didn't really apply that to America yet, but now that's the truth. It's the truth, right? If you say anything that gets the attention. Like, that's why I'm was saying I want to be on that list, right? Like, it's almost at this point a condemnation of your talent as a content creator if you're not on the list. Right? You're not exciting enough, right? That's why I'm like, come on, I'm a terrorist. I'm getting sued, tangentially by the Illuminati. Like, what do I have to do to be more exciting to get on one of these lists? What do I have to do? Right? So I'm just saying it feels like a personal insult, like I'm not entertaining enough, right? Like I've got to be, I got to say things crazier in order to get censored by these folks, because you want to be on that side at this point, right? You don't want to be on the side that is like, we don't care if you're not, whatever you say, right? So that's why I'd say a lot of content creators, when they saw the list of people who got censored in 2020, were like, fuck, where's my name? What about me, right? Because they had some names that it's like, well, I don't know, like, you could probably do better than that. So anyway, but I'm just joking, right? I'm sure I am algorithmically fucked somewhere. So I can take solace in someone's coming after me, right? So Tucker Carlson, the First Amendment is done. It's time for us all to accept that, right? The America you grew up in, that you thought existed, that was all about freedom of speech, hasn't been here since before you were born, probably, right? And again, as long as you were boring, they didn't give a shit, right? And the level for boring was still pretty high, right? You could go around like Oliver Stone talking about who killed JFK, and they'd be like, it's only like 20%. That's fine. We can live with that. That's the threshold, right? The fault tolerance threshold. Again, something Bitcoiners understand: fault tolerance thresholds, all of these things, right? So, so the whole episode that Tucker did was on Hillary Clinton and the fella who's in jail, Douglas Mackey. He's the guy who made the meme, which was text your vote into this number, right? So that has been enough to put people in jail. So he's going to jail for a tweet mocking Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's on television yesterday with the witches on The View talking about how Hitler was also duly elected. So a lot of people saying this is Hillary doing her best to start persuading, right? We've talked a lot about persuasion, right? How do you do persuasion with the fake news media? You start seeding an idea, you create a threat, and then the threat with the idea that you've said solves that threat, removes the threat from you, and allows you yourself to come up with this great idea. Hey, we got to stop the elections. That way you don't have to have Hillary say it, right? You create a threat, you create the idea that would remove the threat, and then you let everyone put two and two together, and then they all go, oh, ban the elections. We got to ban the elections. So this is pure persuasion. Now, Hillary's skills are weak now, right? We can never deny that she's one of the most talented people in the world, but her skills are diminishing. We've got to see that, right? More and more people see through it. Her ability to brainwash is extremely limited because of the damage that Trump inflicted on her over the years. Crooked Hillary. Remember, he got so good with the branding of her that he could just say crooked and you knew what he was talking about in 2016, right? He just knew. And now he says, we used to use the name for Hillary, but we retired it. She's not known as crooked anymore. And then he applies it to Joe, right? So it's just great stuff, right? Just great stuff. So look, we have no First Amendment. We have no ability to even reconcile what's going on right now. Now, the problem for the brainwashers is the following, right? It's what I've been saying for a long time. The whole thing doesn't rely on Joe's ability to tell a lie anymore, right? That's not even really where we're at. Most people get that Joe is a puppet and not all there and all the rest of it. So it's what I've been saying for a long time. The whole system relies on Yellen. Yellen is everything. And it's not just me saying that. Our good man, Arthur Hayes, wrote a new piece yesterday called Bad Girl. All right, Bad Girl. And I'm going to read a bit of it to you. Because, again, I've told you many times, Arthur Hayes is not just, I don't know if he's the richest person in the business. I don't know if he was the biggest cowboy trader going. I don't know if he was the first person that I knew that rejected the pornography of Wall Street in order to get real risk and to really trade like someone who likes to fuck, right? Pardon the swear word if you have kids in the room. So Arthur Hayes wrote a great piece, right? So his whole thing, From the Desk of Arthur Hayes, again, the best writer, I've been saying it for a long time, the best writer in the business, right? The best in the business. So it's an essay on the US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is the baddest bitch in the world, and how her little scheme will provide fuel for the BTC bull market. So this is what our good man Arthur Hayes has to say. Who's the baddest bitch in the world? Tay-Tay? Nah, she's just a pop star. Christine Lagarde? Nah, she's just a US puppet, not a puppet master. Kamala Harris? Who the fuck is that? The baddest bitch in the world, and probably the real second in command of Pax Americana, is who appears to be a frumpy gnome-looking creature. She don't dance no more and probably never has. She makes money move. I'm talking about U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Bad Gurl Yellen, if she so pleases, can unilaterally remove individuals, companies, and or whole countries from the dollar global financial system. Given that, for most, it is essential to have dollars to buy primary energy, oil and natural gas, and food, and is a death sentence to be removed from Pax Americana's financial system. She calls it sanctions. Some call it a death sentence. From a financial standpoint, she is responsible for the rules and regulations that govern how the filthy fiat financial system operates. Since credit makes the world go round, and this credit emanates from banks and other financial firms, her will has a significant impact on the structure of the global economy. Her most important responsibility is ensuring that the U.S. government is funded. She is called upon to issue debt in a judicious manner when the U.S. government spends more than it earns via taxes. Given the gargantuan size of recent U.S. government deficits, her role is that much more important. But all is not well in Bad Gurl Yellen's universe. Her baby daddy, Slow Joe, the U.S. president, is behind on his child support payments. Slow Joe ain't like typical deadbeat fathers who blow their paychecks on booze and strippers like his son. Slow Joe is addicted to spending money by blowing up faraway countries in pursuit of who knows what. He never saw a conflict that the empire's war machine shouldn't support. Fight a proxy war in Ukraine versus the evil dictator Putin and the largest commodity exporter globally? Let's fucking go. Support Bombardier Bibi Netanyahu in his quest to flatten the Gaza Strip, permanently displace millions, and kill tens of thousands of Palestinians, even if said support might lead to war with the Persians? America, fuck yeah. Our Gurl Yellen publicly supports her boss, but in private, she is scrambling to ensure the empire can issue debt at an affordable price to keep the children fed. Who are the children? Baby boomers who are getting old, sick, and need an ever-increasing amount of healthcare goods and other entitlements. The military-industrial complex needs to be fed an ever-expanding defense budget to produce more bullets and bombs. Interest to rich savers needs to be paid so that the promises are kept to hodlers of debt. Yellen might be a bad bitch, but the market ain't buying what she is selling. Yields on long-end treasury debt maturities, that's the 10-year, are rising faster than the short term, that's the 2 years. This presents a deadly problem to the financial system called the bear steepener. I wrote about why this is so toxic to the banking system in my previous essay, The Periphery. What is she going to do to please her baby daddy? The same baby daddy who needs to go back to the welfare office in November 2024 to reapply for benefits. She needs to engineer a solution that buys the economy time, right? So here's the simulation. You got Yellen, whose job it is to bide in time, right? While Blinken negotiates for America. I don't make this shit up, guys. It's not me, okay? The simulation is engaged, okay? I don't make it up. Yellen trying to bide in time for the market. Okay, that's what's happening. That is just what's happening. It's not me. That's what's happening, right? So, Bad Gurl Yellen task list, right? She's got to inject liquidity into the system so that stocks rise. When stocks pump, capital gains tax rises, which helps pay some bills. Fool the market into thinking the Fed is going to cut rates and thus removing selling pressure on the stocks of non-too-big-to-fail banks who are insolvent. Fool the market into thinking the Fed is going to cut rates, which creates demand for long-term debt. Ensure the liquidity injection is not so large that the price of oil pops because of the weaker dollar. The Federal Reserve is at its recent meeting held interest rates constant and indicated it would further pause as it continued to evaluate the impacts of its rate hike. At the same time, Yellen indicated the U.S. Treasury would increase the amount of short-term bills issued, which is what money market funds desire. MMF will continue pulling money from the Fed's reverse repo program, buying T-bills, which is a net liquidity injection to the market. Remember what I've been saying. I said this on national television in the United States in 2019. I've mentioned it to you guys many times that the reverse repo of 2019, the repo rumble, was a sign that the thing was broken. I called it at the time defibrillator. It was a zombie corpse, and they needed to register a heartbeat. So what you do is you put the overnight interest into the banks to make them solvent. That's what was going on in 2019 already. That's why Bitcoiners like myself, who looked at the markets every day, were predicting a massive print in early 2020. I didn't know shit about a virus. I just knew that they needed to print an incredible amount of money, which they did, right? Which they did. So we saw that. Now, are they connected? I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't have any proof that they're connected. Right? I'm just saying what we predicted. That's it. I don't know about connections. I said in 2019, huge print coming. I was right. I had no idea about pandemics. I just said there would be a huge print. We got it, right? And this is kind of what it's in the same vein that Arthur is making predictions here, right? The remainder of this essay will feature my arguments as to why I believe the above policy will result in the following, right? So this is what he's predicting: a net liquidity injection of $1 trillion into the global financial markets. But this is that bank backstop stuff. This is the balance sheet backstop stuff that came around for Silicon Valley. So this is 1A. This liquidity injection will power a rising U.S. stock market, crypto, gold, and other fixed supply financial assets. B, all other major central banks like the People's Bank of China, Bank of Japan, and European Central Bank will also print money, because now that the U.S. monetary conditions are loosening, they can print money without weakening their currencies. 2, the market believes the U.S. Treasury yield curve will bull steepen in the future. A, it will prevent a market file sale of all non-too big to fail bank stocks. Once the RPP runs dry, going into the end of 2024, the U.S. Treasury market Armageddon will reassert itself. So the same thing that they're going to wish away this year will be back at the end of next year around election time, is what he's saying, okay? But the important part here, let me find it, right? Let me see where it is. Because she talks about, or he talks about the ducks and cucks. Fed chairman is a duck, and his madam is bad Gurl Yellen. You might think being a duck is a lowly position, but in Hong Kong, ducks live quite a pampered and rich lifestyle. Powell is by accounts a centimillionaire, but all the money doesn't change the fact that he is Yellen's at the very most towel boy, right? So what have I been saying about him for a long time, right? I want to make a point that he makes here on the markets. Let me just see. Oh yeah, here we go. So I'm going to go back and talk about Powell in a second, but here's where, yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay. The problem with raising interest rates to levels that are economically restrictive is that it would destroy the banking system. Therefore, the Fed plays a game where it pretends to fight inflation, but is always looking for a way to justify pausing its monetary tightening program. The easiest and most intellectually dishonest way that they accomplish this is by concocting misleading statistics about the level of inflation. Now, we all know this, but understand why. It's not just lie for the sake of lying, right? It's the lie about the economic statistics are deeper than just lying for the sake of lying, and he's explaining it here. Government-produced inflation statistics are all bullshit. It is in the government's interest to underplay the effects of inflation in order to convince the plebs that their eyes are deceiving them at the checkout counter. That sticker shock you get when buying a loaf of bread is not to be trusted because the government tells you inflation just isn't there. To do this, bureaucrats create these baskets of representative goods that de-emphasize the prices of food and energy. Misleading inflation statistics are calculated based on the changes of this basket. So that's what he's saying here, right? They don't actually even get their authority to govern unless they're lying about this stuff, because things would get way worse and they must deceive, right? So now go back to what we were saying about the memes. Tucker said about First A, right? First Amendment's gone. We have a government who can tap almost any part of the system to get lies out into the market. They can information launder at scale, right? If you use the banking analogy, it's one thing for the U.S. government to launder money through J.P. Morgan. You imagine they have a bank that's interested in breaking the laws with them. What's going on now with information laundering is they've gone down to like the regional low-tier banks, right? The worst of the worst. Everyone's in on the information laundering, which makes it that much easier to criticize and perceive and see, right? And so go back to what he was saying about about Jay Powell, right? Being this centimillionaire who's at best a towel boy. What have I been saying about Jay Powell for a long time, right? What have I been saying? That he is a captive hostage. All right. I only hear hostage, right? By the way, did you hear him yesterday or 2 days ago when he gave his remarks? They had climate protesters who ran in and started protesting. And while he was giving his speech, they have him on audio saying, "Why don't you close the fucking door next time?" Okay. So I got to tell you something about, oh yeah, by the way, just to go back to the simulation winking, right? You got Yellen, right? Biden time. But you've also got the guy who's in charge of the US trash token, whose name is Puel, right? So the shitcoin and Puel are related in that he's got to protect this thing. But what I'm saying is he can't, right? Puel has already told you that the US dollar only remains the US dollar if, what? What is it again? If America remains a rules-based system with the rule of law. Now, Greg Foss can tell you all he wants. He's a lawyer. He shouldn't be in the risk chair, right? Well, let me tell you something. In a world that we live in right now, when the risk is actually from the destruction of the rule of law, I'm pretty happy with having a lawyer in the risk chair of the Federal Reserve because he's telegraphing to you what's going on. When you hear Jerome Puel talking about the shitcoin that he manages and that all of a sudden the shitcoin might get flushed, and he's saying, well, as long as we have the rule of law, we're going to be fine. You think Jerome Puel himself, you think Puel doesn't know what's going on with Biden and Trump, and he was appointed by Trump. Now, I'm not saying he's Trump's friend. I'm not saying he's your friend. I'm not saying he's on our side. I see a captive hostage who is unable to say what he means, who's got to listen to bad girl Janet Yellen, and probably is not that happy about it, right? I don't think he wants to create this global turmoil that he's doing. I don't think he wants to do all this stuff. Now, in my reading, I don't really know, right? I don't really know, but that's what I see. Right? I see someone who I've used narrative bias in order to fill in the blanks. I have no proof of this, but I see someone who is literally a hostage. I hear a hostage, right? As long as America has the rule of law, he says, right? Now, we got this yesterday, right? Do we have the rule of law? Marsha Blackburn, finally, I don't know if you saw this, the great senator from the great state of Tennessee, right? She came out and she's now subpoenaing Jeffrey Epstein's estate for the log. So she wants the log to know where the blackmail is coming from, why it could even get to a point where someone like Puel is lying to us, right? Where did all that go? So she's doing that, right? We'll see how that goes. But the most, and then remember, we got this system, right? This is another one of these simulation names, right? We got this financial system that's been going on forever. And we've got, the richest guy from that system. So I'm not talking about the entrepreneurs, right? I'm not talking about Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. I'm talking about the Wall Street people who made money off the Wall Street system. Who's the richest? It's Buffett, right? It's Warren Buffett. So what happened yesterday? Right? So you got this shitcoin US trash token situation, and you got Yellen and Biden and Puel that got to push this thing forward, right? Now, you got the richest benefactor of the system, Warren Buffett, right? Remember his name, Warren Buffett, right? So it turns out Warren Buffett has been trading against his own firm. All right, we found out yesterday. We've got what's his name? Anyway, the guy who's on the show that I go on sometimes, the CNBC one, Aaron Ross Sorkin, right? So Sorkin is there, and he says, according to the clip, Buffett privately traded stocks that Berkshire Hathaway was buying and selling. If true, it probably doesn't dent his net worth in any meaningful way. But it's still shocking to hear, given he preaches people to avoid doing anything that would damage your reputation. So what I see is someone who is helping themselves to the buffet of free money that the government has been printing for years for no reason. Like it says, it doesn't put a dent in him. Did it even make him richer? Did it make him richer? I don't think it did, right? In so many ways, Buffett at the buffet the way he is a great symbol to show just how corrupted the system is. I mean, it's that bad that he can go out there and call us rat poison and never be checked on it, right? We'll see what happens to Buffett, right, at the buffet, but that guy might need a bit of rat poison himself, right? So here we got Warren Buffett, again, showing what a disreputable system we have. Again, it's now up to Jerome Powell to say that the guy at the buffet, is not a pig. He's got a rule-based system. This pig here at the buffet, richest man from the markets in the world, he's cool. We got to do everything to support him, right? Is that going to fly well? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. And now it looks like things are breaking all over, right? Because a lot of people who took advice from Buffett over the years are going to think twice, right? We get the corruption in global energy markets right now. We don't really know what's going on. Russia could sink everyone tomorrow, right? The Saudis could sink everyone tomorrow. We're now dependent on all these other countries, right? So that's all going on. Now, put all of that into context, right? With all this craziness, Sticks, X, and Hammer has come out with a few predictions about the 2024 election, and we're going to end with those and add one piece that I have from Brian Ramell about Bitcoin and the last Vivek Ramaswamy story. All these ones with Vivek yesterday, right, going after NBC. What a great point, huh? How the hell did the Republicans organize a debate with NBC? And that smile again when he criticizes her for running Trump-Russia collusion stories. And she's like, sorry, but, not even sorry, just like, you caught me, right? So he goes on Jim Acosta's show yesterday and does the same thing, right? He goes on to Jim Acosta's show and he's like, why do you keep with the Russia collusion story? Why do you keep with the Hunter Biden laptop? When are you going to be honest, right? And you get Jim Acosta, who he can't, his mind, he's just getting punched in the face and has to take it, right? So hopefully we get a lot more of this. Hopefully we get a lot more of that. But here's what Sticks, X, and Hammer says, all right? So this is where we're at as far as where we can actually anticipate rich people, energy industry. Who's sticking around for this? Is Powell going to stick around in all 6 of these scenarios? Let's read them, right? So Sticks, X, and Hammer gives 6 scenarios, right? 1, Trump crushes Biden because of the poor economy, border crisis, and more. He likely does this from house arrest status. Half the population declares him ineligible, and millions protest/riot. 2, Biden wins narrowly due to obvious ballot fraud. Half the population declares him ineligible, and millions protest/riot. 3, Trump has been disqualified by the GOP, and the nominee loses in a landslide as Trump fans sit it out and write him in anyways. Millions declare the result unlawful and protest/riot. 4, Biden has stood down, been incapacitated by age or croaked, then switched with another candidate. The result is not possible to guess. His core fans protest/riot. Number 5, Trump and Biden are both on the ballot. Again, the result is impossible to guess. Millions declare both parties corrupt and protest/riot. 6, someone is assassinated. Millions protest/riot, right? So all Yellen can do for Biden time, every scenario leads to what we're talking about here. They're all riots, all of them. All scenarios here lead to craziness. And what scenario do we have that doesn't lead to craziness? Not many, not many. The only one that I can see is that people understand that the lie is so big, like a JFK assassination, like any one of these things, but the dam breaking on gaslighting and fake news will be enough to avoid riots. Because again, you need an excuse. You need a fake reason to say and explain to yourself, ego-wise, why you were explained. I continue to say that the ultimate excuse people will use, the ultimate excuse, the way that everyone says and comes back together is they say, well, I was hypnotized by money. It was the money that hypnotized me, the never-ending supply of money from Powell, from Yellen, from all of these people allowed for an entire system of gaslighting, brainwashing to be created. And that will be the way that people have their egos maintained as they get over this change. That's the way this stuff happens, and it's already happening, and I'll explain why. Brian Rommel tweeted the following: how do you know it's Wall Street investing in Bitcoin today, right? He goes, the time of day and the direction it moves with momentum is a giveaway. I have an AI system. So if you guys don't know who Brian Rommel is, he is, to me, the greatest AI thinker, innovator going, right? I've been following him for a long time now. There is no one else in the world like him when it comes to this stuff. He invented super prompts. He predicted most of the ways AI would integrate into our lives. I thought I was early with a lot of the stuff. He was before me, right? I told everyone in 2016 AI would be the best Bitcoin wallet, would be your friend, would help cure loneliness. It wasn't going to be a Terminator robot, right? When I first wrote Satoshi Wedding Murders, none of my AI was speaking like a robot, right? I knew I knew the language models were starting, and language would be a big part of how we were convinced, right? If you learn about Turing and how to convince the Turing test and how people are fooled by machines being human, it was all language. It was always language, right? Now, I learned more about humans and our own brains since the large language models were created, but at the time I had an idea of what they were going to be. I didn't know I would learn about myself. That was a revelation, right? So here's what he says: the time of day and the direction it moves with momentum is a giveaway. I have an AI system that runs on a Raspberry Pi that sends me alarms when it detects this pattern. Wall Street again is what he says. Wall Street, welcome. Oh no, welcome Wall Street again. So remember, we said energy markets, we said rich people, right? In the end, the rich people really want to keep going on, helping Buffett to the buffet, helping Yellen and her bad girl desires. Does it help that people like Puel probably are not that okay with what's going on, right? I'm just guessing, but I think if someone like Puel actually tells you he's a hostage, which he's going to, I think he's going to. My prediction is you're going to hear from Puel in the next year saying, fuckers scammed me, right? He's going to try and save his own ass. That's what I see. All right. That's all I got. Let me see what we got here for comments, and then we will get going. Racist. Where's all the racist? The Countess is on the loose. Yes. The Countess is on the loose, P-Man. She's in Florida, King Mansa. She's in Florida. Kids are great, though. We're going to have no problems. Is getting a raise is so racist, Jose, right? Bon matin from France. Bienvenue, Alex. On aime la France. Good morning. Hot coffee, Bitcoin breakup, exceptional. Thanks, veterans. Bon matin. B for victory. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Shalom. And good morning to all you Bitcoin maxis. We love it. Good morning from Milwaukee, where smart Chicagoans eventually move. Indeed. Good morning, all. I have a forever prejudice against Milwaukee, though, because of call me Bud Selig. Hate Bud Selig. Hate Bud Selig. He took my baseball team. Hate Bud Selig. So I'll never forgive him. I was hoping to DCA cheaper sats today. Oh, well, yeah, not easy. One B indeed. Tommy, I told everyone we shouldn't allow Elliptic to sponsor back in. Yeah, they're garbage. Disgusting people. Disgusting. Bro, these BTC stacks are getting weaker. Indeed. If you declare you are on the side of fiat, no sponsor, only stage time to get ridiculed. Yeah, I agree. I picked up that Fed shirt yesterday. The Streisand effect live and well, indeed. RFK is a conspiracy survivor. No kidding. Huh? That's a good way to put it. Vivek, yeah, we love Vivek. Isn't he been on isn't he just the greatest force? Smash the like button. We love the like button. And share the good word, peeps. We also like sharing the good word. Don't worry, you'll be sued eventually. Thanks, Billy. Thanks, Billy. Could you expand on the 2028 Bitcoin Standard timeline you mentioned before? Yeah, Jose, it's not that everyone in the world will be on a Bitcoin Standard by then. It's that the energy will have fully decoupled and will be measured in Bitcoin. And so we'll like what Arthur is talking about economic data, right? The economic data. all you need to know about Bitcoin is that it's a better measuring tool. It's just that. So the economy will be measured in Bitcoin because it's constant. It's just a better denominator. So when I say the 2028 Bitcoin standard timeline, all I mean is that Bitcoin will be used as a denominator to make sense out of markets, in particular energy, the most important one. So as long as energy gets calibrated to Bitcoin, as in they measure their markets in Bitcoin, the game's over. We've already won. Now, as far as every single individual measuring their economic wealth in Bitcoin, we're not going to be quite there yet. I think the rich people like the Pooh Wells and all these other will, but you're still going to get a food stamp era. We're going to go through a UBI food stampy era, I think. So political money fiat money will be what it was always destined to end up as, political money. And that's what it's going to be, right? So they're going to have to collateralize their debt, create money out of nothing. They're going to have to do all these things for the broken-brained people out there. The good news is energy is going to go through the roof, not in pricing, but in abundance and availability. So we're going to solve hunger, yields for the world for food. All that's going to get easily done. Water, right? We're going to be creating the only way to actually grow our economy at the exponential level we need to grow it at will be with citadel design and building. Citadels will be the thing. So you're going to start to see the first citadels, and they will be Bitcoin citadels, not made by ragtag Bitcoiners, but by energy companies, and Bitcoiners will live there. But that's where we're headed by 2028, guys. That's where we're headed by 2028. Challenging and resilient living through the fourth turning, embrace and enjoy. Indeed. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Like, honestly, there was a few days after that Hamas thing where I was like, fuck, I don't know if we're going to make it another year. But now I see it very clearly, and I'm enthusiastic. I see the future. The pieces are all there, right? The pieces are there. Morning, DC World. Should I change my name to Problem Solver and run for president? They are Shannon. Yeah, they are. A little bit. But I want more. My guess, no elections in U.S. in 2024. Like I was jealous of David Bailey's name on the Federal Reserve letter they sent to us. I was like, why can't I get my name on a letter from the Federal Reserve? But be careful what you ask for, I guess. To say, no elections in 2024. Good morning, Bitcoiners, and hoorah to my fellow Marines on this 248th birthday of the U.S. Marine Corps. Did not know that, Knox Huddle. Wow, amazing. Cool news, man. Very cool news, right? Thanks for your service, brother. Yeah, indeed, Knox. Thanks for your service, my man. Thanks for your service. All fiat produces is slaves and hostages. Bitcoin fixes this by creating financial sovereignty for independence of individuals. That's it, veterans. That's it. Smash the like, BTC maxis. Give veterans the best gift for Veterans Day. Oh yeah. Did you see hear this? There's a right in time for Veterans Day, right? There's this. It almost made the fake news headlines. I don't like getting into all the gay headlines all the time, though. Not every gay headline is the worst, right? But this one was pretty egregious. Let me find it. So it didn't make my Moscow time. How in the shit does this thing even work? Okay. This one's pretty good. Did not make the Moscow time cut, but the Pentagon's flailing campaign against hate. How the military continues to downplay the spread of extremism in its ranks, right? So they didn't like, if you read the article, they don't like gay people enough, and they like Trump people too much. That's the whole story. Yeah, oil over 21 million. You got it, Robert. Peace, Matt. Yeah, thanks. Semper Fi, indeed. I got a Marine who lives right near my grocery store. Semper Fi to only God. Yeah, we have a Marine who lives nearby my grocery store in Vermont and keeps that flag out there. Neat fella. All right. That's all I got for today, guys. And I shall see you tomorrow. Again, we're going to be doing a kind of a short one tomorrow. My wife is back on Monday. She's down there with her sister and her best friend. Everyone's left their children for the weekend. So a bunch of dads looking for some stuff to do with kids over the weekend. All right. Peace, everyone. Peace.